What is a dark night of the soul? Many of you are wondering what that is. A dark night of the soul is one of the first steps in the spiritual awakening process that we all go through. And a lot of people don't know that there is a name or a meaning to it. When a dark night of the soul happens, it is also known as part of a tower moment. Y'all know what a tower moment is, right? These things can happen at any time, anywhere, any place. You have no control over it whatsoever. And what happens is it comes on with many different feelings depending on what's going on. Anger, sadness, depression, apathy, isolation, you name it. And it is when, on the spiritual awakening process, when the person spiritually falls rock bottom at that moment in time, falls way to the bottom. And it could last 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month, a year, 2 years. But depression is part of it. And what's also part of it is that the person feels completely spiritually disconnected, abandoned, alone for this time. And it's a time to reflect of what's happened. And why does this happen? It's because things from the past or deep down that has been literally coming up that needs to be purged and released. And when we don't recognize what needs to be purged and released, what we want to let go of, and it is a process of letting go of what no longer serves us, is the actual process of the dark night of the soul. When we don't do that, it's going to come up. And it's going to come up unexpectedly, anytime, anywhere, any place. But there is always a light at the end of that tunnel, always at the end of the dark night of the soul. It is now when you've become awoke at a higher level and upgraded to a higher level, and recognizing what it was that caused it, but releasing and purging that is part of the healing process. And no one trusts that process 100%, knowing that the light at the end of the tunnel, you will no longer be holding on to what no longer serves you. And it could be anything that needs to be healed. It could karmic stuff, anger, pent up anger, trauma, sadness, whatever. Sometimes you can go through a dark night of the soul and not realize it, and it may not last long for that moment in time. There's plenty of them that don't. But knowing and trusting the process is the key. One thing you always need to keep in mind is that you are never alone. And it's not just because others are going through it. Even if you are alone physically, you still aren't alone. You have your spirit team, your guides, the universe. They're there for you to help you work through this process. And when you do fall rock bottom, you can't go any further than that. You can only go up from there and ascend from there. And it is also part of the ascension process. It could be a rage of anger where someone just explodes. Sometimes it depends. Again, it depends. But knowing that you're never alone, that you are safe, protected, loved, and grounded. And one of the key things is to stay grounded or do things to do things that you like, and to self-care when this happens. It is time to reset and rejuvenate, and that's what a dark night of the soul is, to be reset. So many during the months of December, January, and a portion of February, we're going through many a dark night of the soul where people were just thrown down, were feeling they were in another world. That's another thing that happens. Like, you don't even know where you are. Bringing yourself and grounding yourself, bringing yourself back into the present moment when this happens is the most important thing and the key to stay float and to get through it. You have to work yourself through it. You cannot fight. You cannot fight it. You cannot fight the process at all. That's when you need to surrender. And when you surrender, you will come out of it. Because everything will be perfect and better than what it was prior to the dark night of the soul. So just remember, you are loved, protected, supported, and safe. So just remember to self-care, ground, and get rest. And be very kind to yourself. That is the main thing. And you will get to that light at the end of the tunnel. So have a wonderful evening all, and have a magical week.